without doing the introduction. Okay.
Okay.
Hello, tubulars. Thank you for joining us today. I am with one of my favorite people, my aunt, Rose Ortiz-Unruh. Unruh. Sorry. Did I pronounce it correctly when I was talking to Michael?
Yes.
Oh, good. Thank God. Oh,
Yeah.
that would have been bad. And one of the things that I have always admired about my aunt is that she just has this can-do spirit. Anything she thinks of, she becomes. She wanted to do skydiving, she was a skydiver. She wanted to be a caterer, she was a caterer. She even ran away and joined the circus one time. People, like, that's the carnival.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it sounds better when I say the circus. Okay, it was the carnival, but even still, she left the very small town that we live in, and she went out and saw the United States with the carnival. There's nothing that this woman cannot do, and there's nothing that she doesn't set her mind to and master it. And so I wanted to share that with all of you because I think we all could use a little bit of that in our lives. I just recently started business with my aunt, and it has changed my entire life. And part of that is because I've taken on her. I'm going to come and become whatever I want to. And it's a great way to live.
It is.
No wonder you're such a happy person.
I am happy.
You're
happy is a choice, by the way.
Very good. See, she's already getting into the meat.
Happy,
oh my goodness.
I know, happy is a choice. I did decide because when I was younger, I actually was quite miserable. And it took a lot of effort. And ultimately, I was too lazy to put that much effort into being miserable. So I decidedly, and I think I was, I don't know, it was young. I was young, maybe a freshman in high school where you really are pretty miserable. Like you're 14 and you're uncomfortable and you're ugly and you're, So I just decided that I was going to be not only nice, but I was going to be happy. And it is easier than being miserable.
It is easier. And it's easier to maintain.
It is.
It comes more natural.
It does. It comes more natural. Yeah.
I feel like that's the way people are supposed to be. That's how we're built.
Yeah. And I still can, I can turn on a dime. I am Latina. So I can turn on a dime, but it usually does not last very long. And I can pretty much let things roll off.
So you don't hold grudges?
I didn't say that.
Oh.
I think what is it about women? We forgive, but we never forget. Never quite forget. But you forgive so that you can personally move on.
Because it only hurts yourself.
It does.
To hold on to that anger.
Weight.
The other person is on doing
they're
their
off
own
skiffling along.
They don't even know.
They're off pissing somebody else off.
Burning other bridges.
So shake that stuff off. Don't keep it.
That's a fabulous point. That's a great way to start the interview. And that one wasn't even planned.
I know.
Are you ready for my hard hitting? I am a serious journalist. I am like the straight female version of Anderson Cooper. Oh, you probably don't like Anderson Cooper a whole lot.
I'll just move on to the next question.
I am, who's another one? Who's another like serious journalist?
Well, I'll tell you, I do like Oprah.
Okay.
And I'm
the new Oprah.
And I don't particularly have the same line of political views as she does. But she is definitely, how can you not be inspired by the things that she's accomplished and the way that she's accomplished it.
And that itself is amazing advice. So you don't have to follow the person to be inspired by the person.
That's true. People do inspiring things and can still be somebody that you don't always agree with.
Yeah,
for sure. But absolutely.
I have a hard time with that. Like if I don't like you, I don't like you. But maybe that's why my growth has been stunted at times.
Well, that will stunt you because, for instance, you and I just earlier today talked about a mutual acquaintance you met in a default kind of way in an incident that happened with your grandchildren. But I actually work with this person on a committee, and when you work on a committee, the reason why you do that is because great minds, people have different ways of viewing things, and so you get some great ideas because people don't think the same. And so through that and through, the struggles and the disagreements is how you come up with a great plan, because everybody has their input. And then because it's a larger group that you might not always agree with everybody, you come up with a good plan because the majority rules. So I've learned to embrace those differences in people. That even though they don't have the same kind of ways as you might have, then you can still get along with them and
so what
work
you're
with
saying
them.
Is I'm not a grown up yet.
No, I didn't say that.
No, seriously, I am not a grown up yet. I still have that lesson to learn. We're working on it.
The throat punch is still an effective way of communicating.
Yeah, I'm at that level. Yeah, I need to level up to where you don't need the throat punch. But I'm kind of getting in between there, which is like the back punch.
Yeah, the advice I can give you there is what I think how people probably view me is that I'm not going to throw the throat punch, but I could. So you should listen.
Ooh,
that's very powerful. It's very powerful.
It is, yeah, because then they really have to. Because otherwise, they're like, hit me with your best shot.
Yeah, and
if it's not a knockout, you lost. So that's a good lesson.
Yes.
Okay, first question. Where do you find inspiration and courage?
Oh, I love that question. And I will tell you that I love to be inspired. It is something, especially in recent years, that I seek. So I do a lot of, I love TED Talks, for instance. I find them to be inspiring. And I like any kind of, I don't want to say self-help, like I don't really like that word, but coaching. Coaching is very powerful. I think I'm in sales and have been for a long time. And so coaching is a great way to find encouragement. It's a great way to have, to be courageous enough to do sales for a living. But to seek out those people that you want to listen to is a great way to find courage and to be inspired that way. And I love to be inspired. And I hope sometimes that I'm inspiring to others.
You are
I
very inspiring, and not just to me, who has always looked up to you, but to everyone that we encounter together at the very least, because I'm not always with you, but everyone that I have met, just all kinds of they have this look on their face when they're listening to you that's like, right. It's like an aha moment.
It's because I say things that people want to say but can't.
But you say it in a very nice way.
I
say the things that people know better than to say. That's my secret talent.
Yeah, definitely you want to just put it out there. Say and that's okay. It's okay to say things even if maybe you're like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. But if there's an elephant in the room, say it. It's okay. Yeah. Everybody's thinking it. Just go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
And then you'll find a way to say it in a way that people aren't shocked.
Yeah. You are very courageous, though. And I feel like especially women have this pressure, whether it's a pressure that they put on themselves or it's a pressure that society puts on them to be perfect and to never fail. And that has its good and its bad influences. However, it kind of stunts us, I think, as a gender.
For sure.
We don't reach for the stars because if we fall on our face, it's not as acceptable if a man does it.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you get over that fear to go and do these things that nobody said, hey, Rose, you should grow up and drive an ice cream truck or own a fleet of mobile catering trucks? How did you just
you know, I just when I was very young, I was very, very shy. I was perfectly content hiding. My mother used to have this purse about this big, and I was perfectly content to hide behind it. And my sister will tell you, because I did not want to be around anybody.
She was a crybaby.
I was a crybaby, and I didn't want to be left somewhere without my mother. You know, I didn't want to be left behind. Even if my sister was there, which she was, and would always have to haul me with her. I just was so shy. It was awful. But when I got to be in about, I don't know, 5th or 6th grade, I really wanted to be a cheerleader. Kind of hard to be a cheerleader when you hide behind your mom's purse. And even then, although I forced myself to do it and forced myself to do other things I really wanted to do, it took me a long time to kind of get over, just being that shy and being nervous. And sometimes I am still nervous, when I'm doing different things like, speaking or whatever. But I just decided that I was not going to let that hold me back. And if there was something I wanted to do, I was just going to do it.
So you don't
outcome, the outcome doesn't come, that doesn't like, I don't think about the outcome. I just think about, that's what I want to do. And so that's what I'm going to do.
So you're more afraid of not growing than you are of failing.
Absolutely. I'm afraid of not living.
Yes.
I'm actually very afraid of not living because I'm already in my 50s and you have such a short amount of time to do things. So many people, and I see this and I think about it with my mom who got so ill in the last part of her life. And my parents were worked so hard.
Yeah.
They wanted to, once we accomplish this, then we can do that. Once we do that, then we can do that. And then way down there is retirement and we can go do the things we want to do. No, no, do them now because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Do everything right now. Like me, I want to retire now and then work when I'm 80. I'll go do something. I don't want to do it. I don't want to waste time.
That's amazing because I've lived the last month kind of embracing and soaking up everything that you've been saying. And it has been the busiest month of my life, but it's also been the most fun.
And liberating.
Yes, liberating. I feel so powerful now.
Yeah.
Because I just do it.
I think that's
I just think it and I just do it.
I'm gonna cry.
What is left on your bucket list and what are your plans to complete them?
I don't make a bucket list.
Ooh.
If I want to do something, I do it now. And of course there's always things that you have a desire to do. There's places that I haven't traveled that I would like to do, but they're not a bucket list. If I wanted to do something, I would do it now.
Yeah.
I would like to write some more. I would actually like to do some public speaking. Those are goals, but they're not on a bucket list. I don't believe in them. I think that nothing should be put on a shelf. If you have a desire to do something, do it now.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Just jump in. Just jump in.
Yeah, that's definitely the way that you've lived your life. I forgot to mention that she's an author, because a chef, a caterer, a real estate agent, a carny,
truck driver,
cheerleader, a business owner of multiple different businesses, network marketer, social media marketer. Those things weren't enough. She had to just spread her. And a Zumba instructor. Yeah, because
I love Zumba.
Everybody's I'm going to do that.
Well, I became a Zumba instructor at age 40. I was actually almost 41. That was a tough one. That when you're having to make through 2 days of rigorous fitness, and you're deconditioned at the time, and around 20 somethings who are not deconditioned. That was I thought at first I had made a mistake, but I knew that I could do it. I had that kind of spirit in me, and so I love it. 10 years ago.
And you've changed so many lives. There are so many women who go to your classes, and it's not just an exercise. It's
I help them get their mojo back.
Yes, it's fabulous. I don't know a lot of people who know you and are not affected by you.
That's awesome. That was awesome. Yeah. Very nice thing to say.
I'm a very nice person now. Who has had the most influence on the development of your self-confidence?
Oh, that is a great question. And although I would have to say there's been many people who have tried to affect my self-confidence in kind of the opposite way, I would have to say that my father is your grandpa is the one who affected my confidence the most. And number one, as a kid, he just, allowed us to do things probably that others wouldn't get. We got to drive, and we got to got to drive, did things, up on the roof, learning how to use a hammer and a tape measure, and I know the ingredients of concrete. That has not served me well.
It may still.
It may still. I know. Yeah. I have the recipe if you need it. Just learning how to do bookkeeping and learning how to just use your mind in an analytical way. I think that I would have to say my dad. Yeah,
I see a lot of grandpa
and my mother, who is a wonderful person, but was more of a fraidy cat in that kind of way. Very intelligent, very well read, very articulate,
extremely nurturing,
very nurturing, beautiful person. But more like, no, you shouldn't do that.
She was afraid of water.
Definitely
afraid of water.
Yeah, she was afraid of water. She couldn't swim. But my dad was more like, go for it.
Yeah.
And he's still like that.
Yeah, he still is.
Yeah, I would have to say he's my best friend.
Yeah. 83?
He's 79.
79? Why did I think he was so old?
79, yeah.
And he's just going. From sun up to sundown, just constantly.
Yeah, he was here earlier.
You're the perfect mixture between the two of them. You're extremely nurturing. And that's not limited to your family. That's to everybody. And that's grandma. And you are a force to be reckoned with. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, you are larger than life.
Aww,
and that's grandpa. It's like you're the perfect mixture of the two of them, which makes sense because that's how you came to be. If you had a chance to spread an inspirational message to the entire world, because you know the entire world is my YouTube
I
audience.
know.
Thank you,
I
world.
know.
You're so supportive. What would that be?
Well, since millions of people will be watching this,
Millions.
I have to choose my words carefully here. But if I had to, if I had to spread that message, which is, one of my things that I do, I like to inspire, is don't settle, and don't wait. Don't wait until the time is right. Don't settle on something that's not right. You will regret it, and so will the thing that you settled on will be very unsatisfying. But if you do decide on something, do it with 150%. So if it's a person or a thing or a job or an activity, do it. Do it with all of your heart. You go for it.
Yeah, all in.
All in
All
or
in.
not.
I feel like
it's okay to say no.
You were personally targeting me with that answer, I feel like.
Yes.
Yes.
But I'm targeting everybody because there's so many people who are waiting or preparing or
planning.
Just not, just a little bit scared to take the leap. Now, personally, I don't recommend that you jump in head first like I do. I would say feet first would be better, but don't wait, do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
We're taking that from Nike. That's ours now.
No, that was mine before. They took
okay, good. They took it from
they
me.
haven't written me a check.
We are repossessing it, Nike. Yeah. You're on call.
They haven't sent me any money.
They should. Yeah. I'll work on that. I'm right on top of that, Rose.
Yeah, thanks.
Is there any adventure that you would not go on?
Yes. There's definitely things I would not do. For instance, I have no desire to climb Mount Everest. I don't want to be cold. I don't want to live outdoors, for a long period of time. I don't want to necessarily rough it in a way that my feet will blister, and I don't find that appealing whatsoever. And in the same regard, it's exactly the opposite, take that extreme cold and go to the other end of that and
Arizona.
No, not Arizona because it's dry. I'm talking swampy jungle with spiders and snakes and bugs. That's not me. I have no desire to do that kind of adventure. I love water. I like water. I've done white river rafting, and I would like to learn how to water ski. I've tried, but I'm not very good at it. But so those two extremes, swampy bugs and stuff, not me.
Yeah.
And then extreme cold, where you have to have somebody come rescue you. That also is not me.
No, that's not good for anybody's ego.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
So this has been a wonderful interview. I have had a lot of fun.
Thank
I
you.
learned a lot about you, and I learned a lot that I need to implement in my life. But since we are in business together, do you have any business tips that you would like to share with our audience?
Yes, actually, I've learned a lot by mistake in everything I've done. Everything I've done has come with a lot of mistakes, but especially when we're talking about the network marketing space, which is the business that you and I are in. Network marketing is unlike other types of sales. And I think that in that space, you really have to create an atmosphere where people come to you. You're not seeking them out. You need to compel them to come to you and ask you the questions.
And so
you look fabulous, and you've got. What are you doing?
I had a very special person do my hair today. She did my hair. She's great. How do you do that, though? how do you get people to come to you? How do you make yourself even known that people would come to you?
Be a product of the product. Number one, use the product.
Drink the Kool-Aid. We've talked about that before.
Whatever you're doing, and I think it is important. I mean, obviously, if you're just in it for the money, you could probably sell anything. But for me personally, the thing that compelled me to get into this business is that I really loved the product, and I loved the foundation of the company itself and what they were doing. So it was very easy for me to say, yes, I'm going to do this. And I do make decisions very quickly. I like to sleep on them, but then I decide. But I think that you can tell people about what you're doing without telling them what you're doing. That's kind of
subtle and a little less.
It's like, give it to them and take them away. Like I heard you interviewing Michael earlier, and it's the same concept. You create value, but you make it just a little bit unobtainable. It's the chase, right?
Yeah.
So people they want to come forward to you, and if you're leaning forward, they lean back. So if you lean back and make them come toward you, if that makes sense, they're going to.
Yeah. Great information. This turned out better than I even imagined that it would. It was perfect.
It was fun. This is great.
Is there anything else that you have to add?
Gosh, I just really want to encourage people to be bold and do the things that they want to do. How are you going to accomplish that? Accomplishing it, that's secondary, right? If you have a desire to do something, start it today. Don't wait. Tomorrow may not come. Do it today.
That's amazing advice. Be bold. Thank you so much for your time. That's been a lot of fun. Bye, tubulars.